What's up, guys? First, Adam here, bringing you the live Mighty the Earth build for Diablo 3. This is live on patch 2.4. I have a previous video that's on the PTR, and I thought I should make a new video with some of the changes that they might have made to some of the items and damages of the set itself. So, without further ado, I'm just going to dive right on into the Might of the Earth set for the Barbarian. So, the Might of the Earth set is pretty OP. If you're watching this video, you probably already know what it is, and just probably need help with the build. So, but initially, the set is pretty strong. It's a set that gives you tons of toughness right off the bat and lots of damage. So, it's a pretty nice, fun, and easy build to do for the Barb. So, one of the things you're going to need to do is, one, you're going to need all 6 pieces of the Might of the Earth. So you will not be using a Ring of the Royal Grandeur, because your rings are going to be filled up with other rings and sets and stuff. So, you want to get all 6 pieces of the Might of the Earth. There is a very easy way of getting these. If you watch my previous video, how to get the class sets and leveling tips video that I made yesterday, I explained how to get all 6 pieces of the Might of the Earth set within an hour. So it's very quickly. So the only things you really have to worry about is getting your weapon, which is Blade of the Tribes, getting your belt, which is Dread Iron, and then getting these bracers, Scalar Salvations. Those are going to be your big damage dealers right there. That's where all your damage is going to be coming from. Second of all, you are also going to need Lutzocks, Band of the Might, and a Furnace. The Furnace isn't required, but it adds a lot of needed damage for high greater rifts. So Lutzocks is required for this build. Without this build, without these boots, this build is pretty much useless. Not unless if you have like 90% cooldown reduction. Lutzocks allow you to cast Leap up to 3 times within 2 seconds before the cooldown begins. So you can just instantly leap all over the place, putting down 3 different earthquakes on the ground, and the earthquake damages stack on top of each other, so it does a lot of damage. And then earthquake damage is actually multiplied by your weapon, Blade of the Tribes. It can go all the way up to 200%. So I'm still looking for an ancient one, but for right now this is doing the job quite well. Also, the special effect of Blade of the Tribes, Warcry, Threatening Shout, causes an avalanche and an earthquake. So that's where this belt comes in, Dread Iron. Increase the damage of avalanche up to 200%, and I got a perfect roll on this, and this is beautiful. You also notice Ground Stop causes an avalanche. We don't use Ground Stop because it's not worth it, because Threatening Shout causes an avalanche and an earthquake, rather than just using Ground Stop, which just causes avalanche. So when you're doing your wombo combo here, you jump up, you do your other 2 things. You do your Threatening Shout, Warcry, then you throw down another earthquake. So you got 3 earthquakes from your leap, another earthquake from Threatening Shout, another earthquake from Warcry, and then another earthquake, well, from activating Earthquake. On top of that, you got 2 avalanches going at the same time. So that's a lot of dot damage that you put down right then. Excuse me. And then the next thing to actually maximize your damage is going to be Boulder Toss. This is the best spender for this build. Other people have been going, they can go Hammer of the Ancients or Seismic Slam. I've tried it. It's not as the damage isn't as good. Sure, it spends your Fury pretty quickly, but it doesn't spend it fast enough. When you're doing higher, greater rifts, and you're going up against things that is really kicking at your health, taking your health away and stuff like that, you need something to heal you instantly. And that's why life per Fury spent is very important. You should have it on your belt, and you should, if you're having problems staying alive, you should have it as one of your passives as well. Because when you have your max Fury, 170 Fury, you use Boulder Toss, it spends it all. So 170 Fury times 1,191 life per Fury spent. That's a little, that's just over, I think, 200,000 life. Just right there, just from using that. And you fill this bar up quickly. Within 3 seconds, this bar will be filled back up and you can use it again, so you can heal yourself over and over and over and over again. So, in my previous video for the Barbarian, my setup was a little bit different. I've now optimized this build for damage. I'm still farming better items, but I have everything I need to do here, and I'm able to solo Greater Rift 64 and higher already, even though I don't have anything except for my Dread Iron. But you are going to want a Focus and Restraint. Focus and Restraint is beautiful for this build because it's always up. Since you're using your Leap, this is a generator, so it's proccing Focus and Restraint, and then you use your Boulder Toss, that procs your other side of your Focus and Restraint. So you have 100% damage up all the time. And another thing is your Scholar Salvation increases the damage of Ancient Spear Boulder Toss by 100%. When Boulder Toss hits 5 or fewer enemies, the damage is increased by 137%. So, yeah, it's a lot of damage, especially for Rift Guardians, and the more fear you have, the better. So you always want to try to find the ideal weapon would be to have a maximum of secondary passive of 22 extra fury on your weapon, and just to get this closest to 200 fury as possible, because you are gonna shred enemies with this. It's quite the damage dealer. Your amulet, the best amulet to have is going to be a Hellfire amulet. I haven't had any luck on getting a good one yet, so I'm using the Ouroboros first because it rolled pretty good. So that's the gear that you're going to need. As far as the specs that you're going to want, crit chance, crit damage, top priority. So you need to have cooldown reduction as well. This build thrives on cooldown reduction. A minimum of, well, technically you want a minimum of 32%. I'm almost there, so I only have about a 1 second downtime on my Leap. Because of the second this 2-set bonus from this, reduce the cooldown of Earthquake, Avalanche, and Leap, and Ground Snap by 1 second for every 30 fury you spend with your attack. Since I'm spending 170 fury, that almost reduces the cooldown of Leap all the way. So if we look at this, I spend it, and you saw that there was just a tad, like not even a second left. So if I had 32% cooldown reduction, this would never be on cooldown ever. Which is very important, because if this ever goes on cooldown and you got 5 seconds left on it and you're in the middle of a leap pack, you are dead. Because leaping in the air, you stop taking ground effect damage. So if they have arcane beams, poison, or molten, or anything like that, when you leap up in the air, you stop taking damage from that. And then you throw a boulder toss, you heal back up, so it's a great survival tactic. As far as skills, Ancient Spear with boulder toss, leap, and you want death from above. So that we 100% chance to stun enemies for 3 seconds. This is really great for large packs and just maintaining control of the enemy. You want War Cry with Veteran's Warning for the 30% dodge, because you can dodge everything. You can dodge a dot attack, you can dodge an arcane beam, you can dodge everything. So having this is very important. Next, you want Earthquake with Cave-In, because you will pull all the enemies into the center of where you land, and it's so easy to group them up, and it makes it clearing rifts much quicker. You want Threatening Shout with Falter, and potentially you want to use this ability first. You want to leap into a big pack, and then while you're continuing with your leaps, you want to activate this, because it'll make all enemies take 25% increased damage from all sources for 6 seconds. And you can activate this while you're in mid-air leaping, along with War Cry. You can activate both of them while leaping at the same time. So, it makes it really easy to activate. Next is Battle Rage with Into the Fray. Because you're rounding up all these enemies, because you pull them into the center, gaining 1% critical chance for each enemy within 10 yards while under the effect of Battle Rage is brilliant. Lots and lots of damage. So, on top of that, it also increases the damage that you do by 10% and your critical hit chance by 3%. So all around, perfect skill to have. For your passives, you're going to want Rampage, because that 1% increase, stacking up to 25 times, is amazing. It helps out with your toughness, it helps out with your damage, it helps out with everything. And it's really, really easy to get. Even when I'm pushing Greater Rifts and it takes me a minute or so to kill an elite pack, there's always going to be a trash mob there. Procs it. It's super easy to keep it. Keep it up at 25 stacks. Next is Earth Might. Gain 30 Fury whenever an avalanche or earthquake is triggered. Very nice, because since Leap does an earthquake, not only are you generating 15 Fury from Leap, you have to hit somebody though. When you hit somebody with Leap, you generate 15 Fury. Also going to generate another 30 Fury because it's spawning an earthquake. So it helps refill your Fury really quickly. Next is Ruthless. This is ideal. If you don't have this, you're gonna be fine, but the damage output is substantial, especially on Rift Guardians. Deal 40% additional damage to enemies below 30% health. Next, but not least, is Animosity. Increase all Fury generation by 10% and increase maximum Fury by 20. This is very nice. So, like I said, Leap generates 15 Fury, and along with Earthquake, which generates another 30 Fury, that is increased by 10%. Also, Templar is probably your best bet for the follower, mainly because his passive Fury is generated 10% more. So, it's now 20% instead of 10% because of your Animosity passive. So, generate 20% more Fury. Super nice. So that wraps up the skills and the item that you need. It's super easy to deal out lots and lots of damage. It's really quick, really simple. I've only played this character for like 15 hours, and and I have pretty much full gear. I just now have to refine my gear. So it's super easy to get gear. If you're having trouble finding a certain piece of gear, just use the cube, spot farm it, put a rare item in there with the crafting mats, transmute, upgrades it to a legendary. Your chances of getting it's pretty high. I've already gotten like 6 Blade of the Tribes doing this. Just none of them were ancient. So, this is a super easy build to do. It thrives in higher greater rifts. If you're trying to speed run lower greater rifts like 40s and stuff like that, you can do it pretty quickly, but it is not the best one to do. The build, at least, because it's not as good at clearing large areas, let's say, like a demon hunter or monk would be able to do. So it's better to do a harder level where with a smaller density gives more experience and more loot and stuff like that, rather than to do an easier area with lots of mob and easy to kill. So just keep that in mind. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this short little guide on how to set up your Barbarian. And like and subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions or anything you want me to try out with this build. So I'll see you guys later.